Call to order. Today is Tuesday, the 9th day of February 2016, and it is 5:30, and this is a regular scheduled meeting of the Marlin City Council. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Moore. Here. Councilmember Moore.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Henderson.
Here.
Councilmember Skaggs.
Here.
Councilmember Oster.
Here.
Councilmember Porter.
Here.
Mayor Nelson.
Here. Certified posting.
Posting was done in accordance with the Open Meetings Act.
Okay. If we'll stand for the pledge and the invocation. Councilman Porter, will you give us the invocation, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Heavenly Holy Father, we truly thank you for the opportunity to come and gather, Lord. We ask for your knowledge and wisdom. Help us to come with a sense of unity and a sense of problem solving. Help us to do the business that is at hand, Lord. We ask for your strength, your courage, your wisdom. These things we pray in your Son's most precious name. Amen.
Amen. Citizens input, again, you have 3 minutes. Reverend Steve Johnson.
Mayor Nelson, to Pro Tem, and to the council, good evening.
Good evening.
About a year ago, first of all, I'm Pastor Steve Johnson. I am the pastor of the Zion Missionary Baptist Church in South Marlin. I also reside at the corner of 709 Harder and South Gresham. But I spoke to the council almost a year ago about the drainage situation that we are having in South Marlin. Yet, nothing has been done. So we're coming today, as I speak on behalf of the residents of South Marlin, what is going to be done, what can be done? Because this is a real serious issue. When it rains, it floods. A lot of residents in Marlin who pay taxes are unable to even drive into their own yards because of the flooding situation. The ditches need to be cleaned out. We get all of the water from North Marlin. It comes right down to South Marlin, and that's where it stops at. So, I mean, since we are taxpayers, I mean, there needs to be a solution. We need some help in that area of South Marlin. But I come today to try and find out what is going to be done, or is there anything in the process right now of taking care of the drainage situation?
Normally, we don't answer the citizens' input, but City Manager, would you?
Yes, Mayor Nelson, Reverend Johnson. We certainly are aware that there are ditches and culverts that need to be fixed down there. Of course, the city has been operating under a crisis mode for much of the last 2 months. But the Public Works Director and I have discussed starting at the outfall and working our way back, because we need to start where the water exits the city and move back, because you start in the middle of the city, you're just moving water quicker to a place where it's going to stop. And also on tonight's agenda is on item 6 is going to be discussing an RFQ for engineering services. I think we are dissatisfied with some of the answers that we've gotten concerning the engineering of drainage issues, and that we need to have another set of eyes. It's not simply the city is so flat, it's not simply a situation of we can dig ditches deep enough to drain everything, but we do have a process in place that we are looking, and one of my recommendations to the council last month at our workshop was to look at a bond issue and to that would address some of the streets and drainage issues.
Well, another question I would like to ask. Could there be some type of interlocal agreement between the city and the county to take care? I mean, it doesn't take much for some of the ditches to get a backhoe down there and dig some of those ditches out. We just want the water to flow. Well, I understand there is a money issue, but in the process of it all, some of the ditches just need to be dug out, simply with a backhoe, to open some of the ditches up so that the water can flow.
Mayor, may I address the,
No.
no, I'm gonna address the city manager. Yes. I just talked to Reverend Green, and he's waiting on interlocal agreement to be signed to take care of that problem. And I think we still need to go back, get that interlocal agreement, and sign it so he can do the work that he needs to do. He said he can't touch anything until the city put that effort there. Now, for me not to say that, I'm gonna still pass your note that you need to go take care of that business so they can get that water from down there. They're not gonna cost us anything but a signature to go over there and get the county to get involved with that situation. We don't have the money, they got the equipment.
As I stated at the meeting of the 19th, sir, to simply go out there and to rely on sidewalk engineering and start digging holes when we don't have a real drainage plan in place can do far more damage than good. I do not believe it is in the best interest of the city to go spend money on unengineered projects in the thought that you or somebody else knows how it's going to flow without an engineer looking at it. It could be a waste of money, and it could be, and you can actually do damage on where you may cause water to flow. So without engineering studies, I am strongly opposed, and plus I can't sign it as a local agreement until
I totally agree with you, sir.
Agree to it.
Totally agree with you, but the county has engineers that we don't have to pay for. I mean, what's the problem with letting their engineers look at a problem in an interlocal agreement to help us?
They don't have no engineer.
I mean,
They don't, yeah.
Well, if all y'all gonna discuss this, that's my precinct, and I think I need to say something. I've been 9 years trying to get this water off of these people down there. Every time it comes up with a different answer of what we need to do. We have gone down there and couldn't even get through ourselves. So we have sat down, we have been waiting a year to sign this interlocal agreement where they're gonna come and give us some relief of letting this water go where it's supposed to go. And you don't have to pay these engineers no $300,000 to go down here and to get this water off. Reverend Green of Precinct 2 is willing to work with this city and getting this water from down here. And we can do something. It's been 9 years. And I know it doesn't take that long to do. The people have been up here. You go home, you can't get out. If you're at home, you can't leave. Now, every time somebody comes up here and asks for something, you get the same answer. We've got to get some money or get a big bond issue on these people in this city which doesn't have any money. It's something that always comes up that you don't have any money. But it's a way to get it off. They've always gotten it off without the engineers. Now, if you want to get an engineer, we need to work toward getting an engineer and getting some money besides putting another debt on the citizens of this city. A $50 million bond issue. Now, every time it comes up for South Marlin, it's something in the way. But it's been 3 interlocal agreements going to North Marlin since I have asked for one in South Marlin. Now, why the discrimination? I want somebody to answer. I'm sick of this here. One person run a one-man show when there's 7 of us sitting up here and have nothing to say about nothing, and you always get the same answer, that you got to get some more money, but when the money comes, where does it go? Where does it go?
Ms. Gates, before I may, we
Yeah, help
had
yourself.
$80,000.
You're violating the Open Meetings Act. By
You
that.
did too,
It's all
sir.
right. You did
You
too.
did too.
No,
Okay,
I am allowed to.
And I am too. I
No,
was
you
elected.
aren't. No, you aren't.
We
Why
have
is part of the
You need to
Open
leave.
Meetings Act.
Don't touch me.
Okay,
Calm down.
that's it.
Don't touch me.
I'm
That's,
calm down.
Okay,
Don't touch me.
Mr.
I'm tired of this discrimination with him especially.
Mr. Knight,
You come over here.
Don't you dare!
You come over here.
Don't you dare,
Come
Marlin!
over here. You come over here. You won't go
Don't
there.
you
No.
dare!
Discriminating self. You go sit down. You don't even know what's going on. Go sit down.
But please, we don't need to get this.
You go sit
Don't
down.
you dare!
Yes,
Call me a racist!
You don't even know how to talk to nobody when they come in the office. Even the citizens of this city, they don't want to come back up here.
All right, let's
Okay,
Let's
that's
get
it.
this under control, please.
Yes.
Skaggs, please.
Go sit down.
Y'all,
You
please.
go.
You don't even know nothing about
It's
this.
getting out of
I
order.
demand an apology.
I'm not giving you nothing.
Mr. Knight.
I demand an apology,
You can
Miss
get mad all you
Madam.
want. I demand you not going down here.
I work for this city.
I know, Mr.
I demand you not going down here to these streets, fixing these streets for these people too.
okay,
Will not tolerate.
I will not tolerate you either.
I am a
Discriminate
professional.
these people.
Ms. Skaggs, please.
You don't say to me, you don't say to him.
Miss
I'm
Skaggs, both
fixing
of y'all,
to say
Mr. Knight, y'all please have a seat.
Yeah, yeah.
People come in here and he can't even talk to the citizens, right? They don't want to come back no
Miss,
more.
Ms. Skaggs, that's enough,
We need
okay?
order, we need order.
We need more order, we need a city manager.
We need order.
No.
We need order in here.
Reverend Johnson, we will,
Come over here.
we will talk with the city manager,
come
Martin,
over here.
and I know that Reverend Green is ready to do that, so we will take that under discussion and see what we can get done. And hopefully, further down in this agenda, we will come to some agreement about that. So, thank you for coming. Okay, Mr. Westmoreland?
Good evening. My name is C.J. Westmoreland. I live at 423 Norwood. My topic is, I believe that the city council misunderstood the citizens' request for an audit. Last meeting, I heard it said that what the citizens wanted was an audit of the rehab fund. That to me is a misrepresentation of what I understood the citizens to put forth. The feeling of the citizens is very similar to Councilperson Skaggs. Over and over, nearly every council meeting I've been to in my 4 years in the city is, where's the money? That absolute minimum that could be done to prevent discussions like the previous one at every council meeting is that minimum audit of a single line item account by the city's very own auditors. I feel that rewiring of the water plant was criminal. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a water plant manager, but just that idea, the idea to me is that somebody did something to keep their job. You take 25,000 times 10, you get $250,000. That is significant. The refund on the water, I thought the discussion of it was insulting. It's one thing to say, we're poor, we're a little town, we don't have money, here's $1, that's all I have, that's all I can pay you. That's one thing. But to discuss how much the water bill is on a monthly basis and give a prorated amount of that is a pseudo-intellectual snow job. The one councilman mentioned he left town because he was embarrassed. $20 isn't going to cover that expense. I have a single mother that I work with. When she found out she didn't have water for her infants and children, she took a trip to Waco, spent $200. It's one thing to say we just don't have money, but to say that prorated amount was fair. What it goes back to me is my mother would tell me how something is said can be more important than what was actually said. And that discussion, as though that prorated average monthly amount is sufficient, is wrong. To me, what was due from the city council was a collective admission of wrongdoing. That either, not so much through negligence, but for some reason, some way, somehow, that city plant was not properly managed, and therefore we had a major catastrophic outage. And who's responsible for it? Is it the chief of police who was out helping pass out water? You know, who is it? Well, it's y'all. Collectively, y'all are the city. You know, right, wrong, or indifferent, y'all, it's your job, and the job didn't get done on that particular day. And what the citizens really wanted was just an apology. That the city didn't get its job done. Not $15 or $20 and acting like everything's okay. But specifically, what I'd like from the city is to go to the Texas Rangers, ask for an investigation of the city on all monies in and out from the water. Not a single line item, but for all monies as a starting point. That's the major cash flow for the city. That everything else, you know, will follow from that. If that can't be done, I believe it's the Texas Attorney General's office. I believe we have two recourses. One is the Texas Rangers for elected officials. For other employees, I believe it's the Texas Attorney General's office. I'd ask that investigations be done on the city through those two agencies for both either criminal action or just accident. But for 4 years I've heard over and over, where's the money? And no one can say. And it's just wrong. And one other point. Okay. Well, enough said on that.
Okay.
I had a couple other ideas, but they're slipping me.
Okay.
So that's all I have. Again, my name is C.J. Westmoreland. Oh, what I was going to say is also, the other topic sitting in is over and over, I've heard wrongdoing in employment practices. And while that's wrong, it's not enough if you see it to say somebody's doing wrong. If you know wrong is being done, we need to go state and federal. If we cannot clean up our house ourselves, then we need to get help. And again, based on what I've heard, I believe wrong has been done. We can't clean it ourselves. Those hiring practices are covered by both state and federal law. If you know something's been done wrong, then go state, go federal yourselves. If you need help, just as several people in town are, I've got a college degree, I've done research, I'm very good at research. My name's in the phone book, I'm on Facebook. Again, C.J. Westmoreland, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Number 6, Mr. Knight.
Yes, Madam Mayor, and City Council. Several times in the last couple of months, issues have been brought up concerning your contractual arrangements with KSA Engineering Services. KSA has been your contract engineer for many years now, and it is not unusual for cities to review their contractual services agreements and submit go out on the street for request for proposal submission of qualifications. You do it periodically on your waste management and on other contract services. Since you have not done one for engineering services, I've included in your packet a request for proposal submission of qualifications for engineering services. I would propose that you would, if you haven't looked at this, that you review it But if you have read it since it was delivered to you on Friday, to move to authorize me to place this on the street, KSA Engineering will of course be allowed, and I would even say encouraged, to resubmit their qualifications, but this would give you the opportunity to look at other engineering firms, and it is possible that another set of eyes looking at some of the city's infrastructure, whether it's the water plant, the wastewater plant, roads, streets, drainage, etc., that another engineering firm may have different ideas on how they should be handled. So with that, I submit this draft request for proposal submission of qualifications for city engineering services for the council's consideration.
You have heard the recommendation. What is the pleasure of the council?
I move as we go with the city manager's recommendations, to take another look at these engineers, and see what's out there that we can get this better.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
I think we had several seconds there. Is there further discussion?
Yes, I have one thing I'd like to say. KSA has brought all these problems here, even the one that just got out of hand. The one with the water plant, that $12 million to get that water plant right. We've given them the okay to go ahead and use $80,000 that was granted for South Marlin to engineers to tell us the problem down there. We're still in the same position looking for an engineer. Those engineers were supposed to come back and report to us. They said that they already had done that and knew where the drainage needed to come, the things you needed to do to get the water out. But they never took the money and took care of the problem. So I'm strongly for going to another engineer firm, because I felt like we was totally let down from the beginning with the $12 million plant that we're all shocked about.
Yes.
What happened with it. 2012, we got this kind of problem with $12,000 plant out there that was half done, recommended from the TCEQ that it was half done. I can understand why he want us, and we need to investigate these people. We have the water problem that we have that this big discussion is all about, is where I was getting ready to go about. The engineers themselves, they've been paid in advance to go down here and check that water problem, but they hadn't come back to this mic and told us the things we needed to do to rectify the situation. But that's as far as I want to go with that, because I just wanted to let you know we was talking about engineers, and somebody need to go down there with an engineer. They've been paid. We finished.
I'd like to say something. On these KSA engineers, we had a $12 million plant bill. Our Mr. Bill Maines, he was supposed to work with the engineers, and the engineers, these same engineers, were supposed to sign off on this water plant when it was completed. The water plant, the situation that is with this water plant, it was never completed. Okay, when Mr. Maines switched over and went on, started working for KSA, then we hired James Glenn. James Glenn found out that it wasn't complete, and he stopped up some of the part that wasn't working, that wasn't completed. Then it ran on like that until we hired somebody else. Then when he goes out there, he opens up everything. And this is what sent the boom through there, with all of the filters that got messed up. We know what the cause is, but we need to go back to KSA and see why they didn't sign. They were supposed to sign off on it, that it was completed, that the plant was completed. And until we get it done, it's not going to do any good to go out there and work here and work there and put in this and put in that. We're gonna have to go and do what we were supposed to do. And it's the same thing that we're gonna have with these water meters with KSA. It's the same problem.
Ms. Moore, did you wish to say something?
I'm glad that all of this is coming out because it just don't make sense. We don't get any answers. But I just want to echo the citizens' concern along with our concerns is that we're not responding to their questions. And it does look like nothing's been done. I've got a water ditch at the end of my street, and it's been a month. I've been asking to come and bring dirt out there, just fill the hole, wait till it stops raining, wait till the water finishes. So we're real bad with responding to our needs here. And I also agree with you, Ms. Skaggs, on this sense that we do need to prioritize to get those things that are still a crisis. I just say that we can't afford to just do one thing at a time, but our water issue is horrible. And I'm out of town now, and I come back home and I see another store going out of business. That's not good for us. So I just want to echo the citizens' concern that we have not given you an answer or a response, and I want to acknowledge that. And you know, I'm on this council now, and it's not them, it's us. And yes, we are responsible for the city, and until we start communicating and getting our act together, it's going to continue to blow up. And so I just want to say we have got to start doing business.
Any further discussion? The motion before you is to go out to bids and request proposals for engineering services. We have a motion and we have a second. Will you call for the vote, please?
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Henderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Staggs?
Yes.
Councilmember Erskine?
Yes.
Councilmember Porter?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
May I add something to my discussion? What I want to say. Also, I hear.
No, I'm sorry. We've already finished the vote. Okay.
I don't want to change anything. I just want to say something.
Okay.
Okay. I also hear the citizens say, "What are we going to do about what went wrong?" I don't hear us responding to that part. So.
Okay. Number 7, please.
I'll give this to Chief Eglin.
Ladies and, can y'all hear me?
You have to speak
I hear you.
up a
That
little
work when I
bit.
get on, I don't know why. No. Ladies and gentlemen of the City Council, citizens from Marlin, how you guys doing today? We're talking about the, was it item number 7? I think that's in regards to the interlocal agreement. Oh, the K-9 unit. So, yeah, we got that. The K-9 unit is, it's simple, in my opinion. In regards to my notice of current information, in the month of January 2016, the Marlin Police Department proposed to the council the need for a K-9 unit offered to the Marlin Police Department. We do believe that with the addition of the K-9 unit, the department will be strengthened as a whole. I, as the chief of police for the city of Marlin Police Department, plan to prepare all city of Marlin officers with the necessary tools to do their job effectively. I believe in the proposal that Officer Benjamin Shaw presented to you, and I believe that the addition of the K-9 unit will help with drug prevention and aid in walkthroughs during school hours and public events. With the additional K-9 unit, the Marlin Police Department will be able to use the unit to help build a stronger relationship with the community. Citizens of Marlin, Texas will be able to interact with the unit and gather a better understanding of law enforcement through positive interaction with the officers and the K-9 unit. The K-9 unit is a single-purpose unit and not one which would lose its grip if presented to the community. Attached to
to the notice of current events is the information requested by the council in regards to the financial responsibilities required by the K-9 unit. For this K-9 unit cost, handler's course is $2,500. Insurance for the dog while training is $400. Hotel for 2 weeks, stay at a hotel recommended by the facility is $59 a night, which will total up to $130 for the 2-week period. Kennel for the Tahoe will be $1,000. Home kennel will be approximately $100. Estimated vet care for worst case situations, approximately $2,000. Prevention care, which will include shots and checkups, will total up to $434.35 a year, or $32.95 monthly. Dog food and year depends on how much the dog eats. So we estimated roughly $500. But in that case, we also get food donated to us from Walmart and other areas. Equipment plus replacement cost will be approximately $300. Yearly certification would be $75. Training aids, narcotic and odors would be $279. Total startup would be $7,647.35 roughly. Yearly, $2,500, give or take, depending on equipment needing to be replaced. In addition, if the animal has health issues or can't perform tasks required due to health issues, then we must take the K-9 unit back to San Antonio, Texas, and submit documentation of the animal's health issues within 24 hours. In return, the K-9 unit will be replaced, and any and all additional training will be scheduled and administered by Worldwide K-9 at no additional cost to the city of Marlin, Texas. Last but not least, if the handler is having issues with the animal after training, all additional training necessary will be free of charge to the city of Marlin, if necessary, for up to a year. If you continue to look on, we just got some information off of Worldwide K-9 Incorporated site, and they're basically talking about narcotic detecting dogs, and that's the type of dog that we got. We want a single-purpose dog to help with drug interdiction. Believe it or not, when you put all of the agencies in the county together, we still don't have enough officers to do what's necessary to pull a lot of the meth off the streets, weed, and kids are getting to it. So really, the kids' first line of defense is not necessarily the parents, it's actually going to be police officers. So we can continue to ignore it, or we can start paying more attention to it and try to nip this problem in the bud, because really, to be honest with you, Marlin is not big enough for us to have an explosion of drugs. There's other drugs out there, like Waka Flocka drug or something like that people are putting in vapes and in vaporizers. There's another drug that has not hit the streets in Marlin, but it's really big in Houston, and it's traveling, and it's called WET. It's actually embalming fluid, PCP. An individual on PCP has the strength of 5 to 6 humans. So you send one officer over there, we don't know anything about this person's condition. Majority of the time in the city of Marlin at night, we have 2 officers on at 3 o'clock. You got one on the traffic stop over here, and you got one responding to a disturbance over there. That officer cut off that traffic stop and go to assist the other officer at the disturbance. It takes this officer that cut off at the traffic stop 2 to 3 minutes to get to where this other officer is at. I guarantee you that officer may have to shoot this person in order to keep this person from killing him. I know we have financial difficulties in the city of Marlin, but every city has financial difficulties. We have to continue to move forward, and we have to continue to move in the right direction. And sometimes spending money is the only way to move. Now, I plan to challenge my officers to do what we have to do to continue to build on our seizure fund so we can pay for it ourselves. But whether we can pay for it ourselves or not, whether we want it or not, that final say-so is not bestowed upon us, it's bestowed upon you guys. So it's up to you guys to see this as beneficial for the city. I think we can benefit the city in a multitude of ways. We have National Night Out every year, but every year we put an officer in McGruff suit because we don't have anything else to present. We get this dog, and this dog becomes a part of our family. And we use this portion of our family to continue to reunite the citizens. Our call volume is down, and our call volume is down because of reunification of the citizens. And I'm gonna continue to feed off of that reunification as much as I can. As long as our call volume is down and we continue to get the equipment that we need, then we can go out there and work on other areas to bring in revenue. So, in my opinion, we need it. And aside from us needing it, I still plan to do what I need to do to make sure that all the officers do what they have to do to continue to support the city the best way we possibly can. So, does anybody have any questions?
Yes.
I do, Madam Mayor. Sounds very admirable.
Yes, sir.
And I do believe we do have a drug problem. But my question is where are you going to find these drug folks? And the reason being, in November you had 22 citations. In December you had 56. In January, according to the court, you had 113. That's not very many stops. I mean, and I'm just putting this thing out on the table since you brought it up. And I understand you've got this breakout. But when I talk to the city of Waco, I talk to San Antonio, these things are very expensive, these animals. And I don't think this will come close. Not based upon my conversations with people that actually have working dogs now. And what scares me is, right now in this city, we're so deep in the hole on our budget. Folks, we couldn't even put aside our debt service payment this month. Now, here in a few months, we're going to be screaming for money because we're going to have to pay our debt service. That's the same debt service we didn't pass all of it on to the citizens. That's $700 and something thousand that's got to be paid. I am just a little leery of spending money right now at this moment. Now I know everybody says, oh, we're going to get all these forfeitures. Well, we're still waiting a year and something on a forfeiture that they're holding over at the DA. And when I asked the other law enforcement agencies about it, they just sort of smiled and laughed. Says, the way it works, you get it when you get it, if you get it. So, what I'd like to do, I think this is a good idea. I think it's something the city needs. However, I don't think the time is now. I want to find out what the cost is going to be at the water. Folks, we haven't even seen that yet. TCEQ was throwing a fit because we don't have the pumps and all this stuff. Our wastewater, we haven't even touched that. And that's got the biggest problems as the water. We are in a monetary bind. And personally, I'd like to see where we are in the budget before we go any further. That's my opinion.
Can I answer the question in regards to the citations?
Sure.
In the month of November, if you check around with other agencies, majority of the citation counts are down, they're low. The reason why they're low is because a lot of officers tend to gravitate to using more discretion for individuals due to the fact that the holidays are coming up. Yes and no, it's just a matter of opinion, in my opinion. but I truly believe that majority of people will receive a lot of discretion in the month of November and in the month of December. But we're challenged in a different way. And we were challenged in a different way in the month of November and the month of December. And the way that we were challenged was we didn't have working radars. We didn't have working cameras. We were out there on the highway trying to stop people, and we couldn't really determine how fast they were going. So,
What about the good guns? You had 2 guns that did work.
yes, but that's 2 guns. That's 2 guns. One of those guns is a LiDAR that the officers was using to go out there and do traffic interdiction in the month of November. But also in the month of November, at the very beginning of the month of November, we were struck with tragedy. We lost our boss. I became a boss immediately. And I don't want to be a boss. I want to be the chief. And in order for me to be the chief, I got to make sure that they have the right equipment. I got to make sure that they know how to use the equipment. Because putting the right equipment in the car with no training, you putting in bad equipment. Because they're going to break it. Anytime you are the supervisor over somebody, it's almost like you're a parent to a child. I'm not calling my officers children, but I'm calling them my responsibility. And with them being my responsibility, I have to make sure that they have what they need in order to get the job done. We have what we need. And now we have to build on it. Another portion of those citations, the FTAs, that's actually another citation. And what makes that another citation is that we wrote a citation for that individual to come to court. They didn't come to court, so they receive an additional fine. If we focus on making sure that they pay it, instead of them coming to court, oh, you're indigent because you live in the city of Marlin, that's not necessarily true. That's not necessarily true. If they committed the violation, they shouldn't be treated no different from somebody that's out of town. They committed the violation. I promise you that they're not going to get treated different by that DA if they run that stop sign and hit somebody. So we need to hunker down everywhere, not just in certain areas. If we hunker down everywhere, then we'll find the money for the dog.
Chief, I have a question, if I may.
Yes, you may.
Is there any place, I have the same concerns that Mr. Porter had, being honest with you. And my biggest concern is, can we afford this K-9 unit at this time? First thing I would like to ask, is there any way we could get with someone that had his K-9 dog and see how he work out for us and see if we can come up with these funds? Tell you where I have my heart burn. It's talking about getting rid of the fire department. We're going to bring on the K-9 animal. And that's, I'm crossed between the two. If I can be assured that we're going to pay for this animal, I'm on board. But to get this animal and lose my fire department, I'm still looking at that. See, that means I can't make that decision right now because I'm going to be steadfast on keeping that fire department where it needs to be. I would not want to go to volunteers. And if I have to bag up because I made some decisions early, then I'm going to be hurt myself. So if there's any way that you could come up with a K-9 unit, bring them to this county, they'll let us borrow one, and see what kind of funds it's going to bring in, I think I'd be sold.
I don't want to go this route with it, but I think that, and it's not just about the K-9 unit. To be honest with you, I know that we have a whole lot of other things that's plaguing the city. But the City of Marlin Police Department has $7,700 in their seizure account. The cost that we presented is $7,647.35. But if there's other things that we can use this money for to continue to benefit the city, I have no problem with going out there and asking other individuals that can we borrow their dog.
Can you say that we have the funds there that's in the police department to pay for the K-9?
If I'm not mistaken, we have $7,700 in our seizure account.
Is that true?
let me go look, because that's not what I recall.
While she's doing that, what does your budget look like?
What do you mean, what does it look like? Are you-
Well, that's what I mean. What did your budget look? Are you
Are you
over,
talking about-
under,
are you
on
talking
target, or what?
Are you talking about in regards to overtime or certain items? Or?
I'm talking about your budget. Are you on, okay, you brought up overtime.
Have you used
Are
all
you-
your budget? Or you-
Yeah.
We have used $18,000 in overtime, and the budgeted amount is $10,000. But we also have to check on some type of discrepancy in regards to the way that we're paying officers for STEP. STEP is not an overtime item. STEP is a granted item, where the money has already been granted to the city. And we have to make sure that that portion is paid out the right way instead of paying officers overtime for it.
But,
So that was
so
the
what
one
you're
way.
saying is you're $8,000 over in overtime.
Yeah.
And we know that that is due a lot to what happened in November with the chief and a lot what happened with the water deal.
But
So,
not just.
but that's
necessarily that.
besides the point, you're still $8,000 over.
I mean, training, still going short. I mean, this is not something that we can fix overnight. And I'm not talking about the overtime. We'll do what we gotta do to fix the overtime. But getting the officers the right amount of training, there's a lot of other things that are in the way of fixing everything as swift as everybody would like for it to be fixed.
Yeah, I don't think anyone here is saying that this is a bad idea. It's a good idea. I like what Mr. Henderson just said. We know the investigator over there has a dog. In fact, you use him quite often, do you not? So why can we not use him, use that dog in different places, see what happens, then come back at budget? Because there's not money in your budget or anybody else's budget to do this. And you may have that much in the, what'd you call that, the forfeitures there, okay? You may have that much to take care of this, but we still have other issues, and you've heard these concerns being expressed here. Is it very wise of us to keep taking on more and more debt when the fire department, I feel the same way about the fire department that Pro Tem does. So it's not that we don't want you to have it. It's a matter of being practical. We have made some judgments in the past that we wish we'd made differently, but we can't just keep doing this. So why can't you do what Pro Tem suggested and use that? By the way, there's a $25,000 forfeiture that's supposed to come to the city.
We only get 60% of that 25,000. We
Okay.
don't get the whole 25.
But whatever the amount is, 60%, 25,000. I know for a fact that we've been waiting on that probably close to 2 years, a little over 2 years. So Councilman Porter's point in what Waco was saying is that is no guarantee, you know. And the other thing, when we get it, Chief Allen had already pledged that money to pay for CopSync. So that's already taken care of. So, and, you know, I think we just need to be very prudent here, and not that we don't want you to have it. We want you to have, I mean, this council has gone out on a limb for the police department in the past year. Yeah, you've got 4 cars out there. You have enough cars now. Put them out on the bypass. Put them wherever they need to be. Bring that revenue in, and then we can talk about this very seriously.
I have no problem with that at all. The only thing that I'm saying is, as far as the animal goes, we can go out there, we can ask other individuals to allow us to use their canine when we stumble upon something, but it's going to be us stumbling upon something. If we had our own, we'll be closer to a guarantee. Another thing about the money that we're waiting on from the DA's office, I took pride in making sure that we do that for us. I'm the one who orchestrated the bus. I understand the importance of building a strong police department. I understand the importance of building a strong community. And what I continue to plan to do, and what I continue to plan to get the officers to do, is to continue to enforce drugs whether we have a dog or not. We already have 2 other vehicles that we seized in the commission of us doing our duties. So we're going to continue to do what we have to do, but I'm also under the impression that if we were to get this K9 unit, we'll actually be able to pay for it ourselves for years to come, as long as we continue to do what we are doing now.
Chief, I have a question for you.
Bare minimum equipment, and we finally got the equipment, so I'm quite sure we'll be able to do more of it.
Are you willing at the end of the fiscal year to take the loss in your budget if this does not happen?
If we have to, we have to.
I mean, we're not going to extend your budget. If you doesn't get there, then we're gonna have to take that, or you might have to lose a man. Now, if you're willing to take that risk, I'm willing to give it to you. I don't know about the rest of them, but it's gonna cost you. It's not gonna cost the taxpayer or this council. If you're willing, that you're so belief that you're gonna get there, and we're not gonna have to extend our budget for you, or we can cut you a man and you're not gonna have to hear that, then I think I'd vote for it.
The fund does have $9,200.
Which fund is that?
The seizure fund.
The seizure fund is 92, okay.
But we haven't paid for cop sync yet this year, have we?
No, not the annual.
Okay.
And I'm working on different things with cops too. I was able to take some of the guys down to, I believe it was Grapevine, Texas, and we were able to sit there and talk to cop scene and some of the NFL football players that they had down there, Clinton Portis, James Fox, and things of that nature. It's going to take more. It's going to take way more than me getting us the right tickets and arresting people. It's going to take a lot of networking. It's going to take a lot of networking, and I'm going to continue to network to make sure that we have things that we need. There's also some of these items on this on the proposal are items that we probably could have gotten from the 1033 program. I brought some of the 1033 program information out. And this is not a fight for the dog. This is a fight for y'all to understand that the Marlin Police Department is actually working. I have officers that I plan to send to evidence test school or evidence test class, so they can learn how to preserve the evidence that we have here. We're basically running ourselves out of the building that we have. But to keep from running ourselves out of the building that we have, I gotta send those officers to evidence class so we can figure out a way to get rid of some of the evidence, which is also gonna produce more revenue. All those bikes that we have over there, there's places that those bikes can go that's gonna produce revenue for us. Guns that we have, all this stuff that we've accumulated over the years, majority of it is still here. And that's only because we haven't put the initiative towards moving it out, getting rid of it. We got all those old cars sitting over there that's gonna produce revenue. So there's a whole lot of ways to pay for a whole lot of different things. And I am willing to wait on the dog, however long we have to wait on the dog. And I'm willing to put us in a position where we can pay for it ourselves. I just need to make sure that as we continue to propose different things to the council, that the quality and the body of our work is paid attention to.
Chief, on the budget item itself that we're discussing, the funds, I'm gonna put this on you right here about cross-training. You ever thought about cross-training your police officers with the fire department? And an issue like that for us training them, I think you got a couple that's already been cross-trained. And maybe that'll find us a way to save some money where we can get where we need to go.
Well, I think with the cross training, we'll save some money, but then you gotta think about it this way too. How many officers do you guys plan for us to cross train? When we do cross train them, these officers are gonna have to go off to the fire academy. You can't just be cross trained on the bare minimums. You have to go through a complete fire academy. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that's 18 weeks. So are we gonna send 2 officers every 6 months through the fire academy? I'm not certain of the entire cost, but I know when I went through the police academy, it cost me about $7,500. So sending those 2 officers, roughly $4,500 to $5,000 an officer, that's gonna be $10,000 a year. Yes, we'll be bringing in the fire department's budget, but to be honest with you, I think we have a very good fire department. Our fire department, they're immaculate at what they do. So would we be planning to bring those 2 firefighters on, or those 4 firefighters on, and send them to the police academy? Because that, in a sense, would actually make more sense. And instead of having all the officers cross-trained, we have those fire department officers cross-trained, pay them a little more, and we can kind of schedule a shift in which we have firefighters on during the day and at night.
Chief, are you aware that you have 2 that's already been cross-trained? You got a couple that's working for you that's already been cross-trained for us working in fire and police.
I'm certain that I have 1 that has been cross-trained, and he's actually triple cert, and that's Sergeant Cooley. The other officer that we have that has worked in EMS is David Burnside.
The other guy.
Simmons?
No, he's a sergeant.
He's Sergeant Gonzalez?
Gonzalez. Gonzalez was cross-trained before he came to Marlin.
In fire?
In fire.
Well, no, we've
Check with him. Check with him. He's cross-trained in fire, because he did it where he came from.
I know about the whole scuba diving thing. Like he can dive, him and Shoemaker can dive if we need to.
I mean, I don't mean to get off the subject, I just ways, I'm just trying to give you ways where possibly help this council and help us save our fire department at the same time. It's all in the same discussion.
I'm looking at it every way. I mean, we also have officers that have other degrees and other specialties, like Officer Swain. He has an associate's degree in forensic science. So I think that that'll be good for him to use that in regards to our being our evidence set and things of that nature. There's a lot of stuff that we are planning to do. I'm doing my best to broaden all our horizons. I didn't plan on going back to school. But it seems like every time I try to go back to school, I get promoted. I get more responsibility.
Chief, with this $9,200, that's what you said you could pay for that? But we're still back to the fact that you're $8,000 over in overtime, over in overtime. And how are we, if we use this money right now for that, then what if we need to do that to balance your budget? So, you know, I appreciate what you just said, though, that you are willing to wait. If you're willing to wait, then you'll probably get what you want.
I plan to be here for a long time, so I'm willing to wait on whatever it is we need to wait on. But you gotta keep in mind, though, the longer you wait, the more opportunities you miss out on too.
Well, the thing is, we cannot spend money today we don't have. That's our problem.
But there's not a firefighter that we don't get along with. There's not a firefighter here that we don't care about. So I think we really need to do what we got to do to keep the fire department and work it out. Due to the fact that we got a lot of homes in the city of Marlin that were made, 1920, 1910. We got a lot of old homes. When they catch fire, they burn fast.
Well, there's no question that the cross-training the fire department and the police department would solve our problem, would go a long way to solving our problem. But the issue here is, what are we going to do about the K-9 deal at this point in time? You said you were willing to wait. I think that's, okay.
I have a question for Chief Mayor. what is there, what is the challenge to moving forward to getting rid of the cars, the bicycles, all the cleanup, what they can be turned into cash? What's the challenge to moving forward on that?
The challenge is pulling the officers off of the street, getting them to understand that this is what we need to do in order to do this and in order to do that. And anytime you pull an officer off of the street, you gotta replace him with somebody. Somebody gotta assist him. So what we have been planning to do is clean up. Let's find out exactly what we can get refurbished. It's not just bicycles, it's computers. All we have to do is take the hard drive out of them. The majority of them are Windows XP computers. We can't use Windows XP computers anymore, so we need to take the hard drive out of them, see what we can do to get them refurbished.
So are you saying you started that process already?
Yes, we have already started cleaning up. Actually, Bryan College Station, when I was going to do an investigation, I saw Bryan College Station bring in a truckload of bikes. They had a truckload of bikes on the back of their truck and on the back of the trailer. And I seen them bring them to the metal shop up off of 340. I want to say Lipschitz, but I don't want to say it the wrong way to get everybody going wrong. But there's Detective Mike Lundy. There's one person that I can talk to at Bryan College Station to find out what we can do about the bikes. There's also charitable associations that rebuild these bikes. But I know, to me, it's not like also when people walk up here and see all the clutter and everything.
And that's another thing that we've been talking about, for those cars and stuff that's been out there a long time. So it's time for us to start moving forward with what we can do.
Well, with the cars, some of them are on the auction block, some of them are not. So we got to figure out what we're going to do as far as getting the other cars on the auction block. We got individuals, they want to buy the cars, but then they don't want to buy them due to certain conditions unless they get more. It's like we're bargaining to get rid of stuff that they may not even be able to use anyway. So.
Okay, the question before us is about the K-9 unit. Okay, what is the pleasure of the council?
Mayor, bad as I hate to, I like to make a motion that we table this unit till, table it. I don't mean throw it away. I think it's something that we need to go back and look at. But I feel at this point that we need to try to move forward for trying to see where our funds are. So just give us a few months, a little time to see if we can get back there. But Chief, please bring that back. I'm gonna make the motion that we table it, maybe not. But I think we need to table it at this point.
Okay, Pro Tem may make a suggestion too, because if you just table it, it has to come back next month. So if you postpone it to the budget hearings, postpone it to such a date, or postpone until we can see where the money is. Use the word postpone instead of table, okay?
Well, if he could come up with the money before then, I'd like for him to have this K-9. I wouldn't want him to wait that long if he can come up and show us that he can bring this money, what he's saying he can bring in. You may have a way of getting there early, but I will make that motion that way. But if he can get there, I'd like to see him bring it back as fast as he can.
So you're making a motion to postpone
I'll
until
make
the
a
money
motion
appears
to
to be
postpone
there.
it, and if he can come back before postponing, then bring it back.
Okay, is there, okay. Motion has been made and it has been seconded. Is there further questioning? Seeing none, will you call for the vote?
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Henderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Skaggs?
Yes.
Councilmember Erskine?
Yes.
Councilmember Porter?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
Thank you, Chief.
No problem. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Just bear it and hang with me, man. I gotta get everything taken care of. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you. We appreciate you.
Number 8, please.
Yes, ma'am. The City Council of the City of Marlin has the duty and responsibility of appointing members of the Marlin Housing Authority. This should be an annual event. However, it has been quite some time since these were brought before you. However, the Housing Authority has come forward, realizing the error, and have placed a slate of Roger Nutt, Chairman, Irene Terry, Vice Chair, Judy Davis, Commissioner for 3-year terms, and now those would be reappointments and appointment of Edward Grass and Louise Morin as resident commissioners for 2-year terms. I would suggest you follow the Housing Authority's recommendations.
What is the wish of the council?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, would you call for the vote?
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Moore?
Abstain.
Councilmember Henderson, I'm sorry, Mayor Pro Tem Henderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Skaggs?
Yes.
Councilmember Erskine?
Yes.
Councilmember Porter?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes. Motion carries. Number 9.
Yes, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Currently, our fire department repeater and antenna is on a tower, communications tower off of Old Business 6 that is owned by Falls County. Falls County does not have any structures on that tower and wishes to be relieved of it. The city needs to do a propagation study to find out where the best location for our communications equipment would be. However, the county would prefer to be out from underneath the liability of this this tower. If we refuse to take the tower and the county insists that we remove our equipment, simply leasing space on a private tower temporarily would cost anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 a month, and we would very quickly reach the level of what it would cost to ultimately demolish this tower if our decision was we did not want to use it. So my suggestion would be to agree to accept the donation of this tower from Falls County to the city of Marlin while we continue our assessments on whether to continue to use this tower or use some other tower for our communication needs, which will include a new police repeater that has been requested as part of the grant. So again, staff recommendation is to accept the communication tower from Falls County. And I should mention, it is not in as bad of a shape as we were originally led to believe. Some of the guidelines were loose, but once tightened and once some of the material was removed from the base, the amount of rust and the amount of damage to the base was less than we initially thought it was going to be. So it may very well be that the decision is that we continue to keep our equipment on that tower and add the new police repeater to it. This is not we will have to do a lot more investigation before we make a recommendation to move the fire repeater and to demolish this tower. This is not accepting something we know we're going to be demolishing in a few months. This may be salvageable and a long-term viable place for our communications equipment.
This is the tower that, when Dick Fletcher was here, he was that commo guy. This is the tower that he was trying to get his hands on for the city. If you remember back, Mayor Pro Tem, we went through that hassle with the county and we were trying to get ownership of the ground also.
Right, right.
And the thing that held up on that is Encore went bankrupt, I believe. So they would not give us the title to the ground. So maybe when that all is over, said and done, we might even get title to the ground. But
It
we do
wasn't
have
on-
easements to use that,
Yeah.
yes,
Wasn't Encore, it was the people who owned it went bankrupt and Encore took it over.
yes,
Is this the same tower that just had a light put on?
yes,
Out at the Civic Center.
yeah.
Oh,
But
Mr. Knight, how critical is the tower to the communications of the fire department, the police department, and the city itself?
It's very critical, when, for the short period of time that the fire department tried to move its repeater to the tower that Homeland Security built out in Lot, that was too far away for them to get radio reception inside of buildings. So it is critical that we have a tower here in town. Once upon a time, you had your communication equipment on top of the Falls Hotel. You were asked to remove them after you sent a letter to the owner of the Falls Hotel for code violations. And so that is not really a viable alternative. Several other viable alternatives could be adding towers to our water towers, etc. But again, working with HotCog for a propagation study of finding out where the best place to have it with that not creating a radio shadow by the Falls Hotel or any other tall buildings. This tower currently serves the purposes nicely, and as long as it isn't going to become a long-term maintenance nightmare, again, we may very well decide to continue to use this tower.
Are we allowed to establish a communication tower on our water towers, which put it approximately the same height as the current tower?
We would have to, again, do we'd have to get FCC, we'd have to go for FCC licenses to do that.
Yeah, gotta do this study.
what is the pleasure of the council?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion, we take the administration recommendation for us on the tower.
I agree, and we'll make the second.
Motion has been made and been seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, will you call for the vote?
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Henderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Staggs?
Yes.
Councilmember Erskine?
Yes.
Councilmember Porter?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes. Next item, please.
Yes, ma'am. At our special call meeting of January 19th, a decision was made to ask council members to bring forward 2 nominees from their district to serve on a charter review commission. We need to have the names of those people. We need to verify their addresses, etc. And if we can get those names, then we can, at our next special call meeting, after verifying addresses, etc., the council can then appoint those people nominated to be part of the Charter Review Commission.
Mayor, before we go there, I would like to pass out that had something to do with our attorney to each individual here, that before we go into putting the names there on his recommendations that he's already done, and this was in today's paper. And, I'd like to give everyone a copy of that so they'll know where I'm going from on it. Because I think we probably need to talk to the attorney before we take that next step, because he's recommending Robinson some things that I know he probably would recommend the same thing to us. And I think we might need to read that. Did it run out? I got some more right here. Might take a good look at that one. It's Mike Dixon talking. So I was sitting there.
No.
Some things we need to do before we go get into that review committee. And if we hadn't discussed that with him, I'm kind of afraid to vote or do anything on that. Because Robinson has already made recommendations to him. And if you look, there's a picture there with him there addressing them. And he's saying there's some things we need to do before we put that committee in place. And I really think we need to consult that attorney before we step there.
Okay. Can you make that in the form of a motion? Because I don't think we were going to bring the names tonight anyway. But you can go ahead and do that, but make that in the form of a motion and we'll take it up. What is our 16th? Is it on the 16th?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We can take that up and get with the...
I'd like to make a motion that we consult our attorney before moving forward with our charge.
Is there a second?
A second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, will you call for the vote?
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Henderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Staggs?
Yes.
Councilmember Erskine?
Yes.
Councilmember Porter?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes. Okay. City manager's report.
Yes, ma'am, I apologize, there was not a report in this month's agenda packet. Myself, Scott Fornish, Andrew Poe, the mayor, Councilmember Moore, and Councilmember Porter met with the executive director of TCEQ. And out of that meeting, several requirements and discussion items were made. Just to go down this quickly, and these are requirements that TCEQ is placing upon the city of Marlin. These are not suggestions. The word receivership was mentioned in that meeting, that if we fail to do what TCEQ feels is an adequate job in continuing to maintain and operate that plant, that the possibility that TCEQ would hire somebody else to come in and run it is a possibility. So, lab equipment, spare parts, always have a spare coagulant feed pump on hand. That's another pump on a shelf. Always have a spare LAS pump. We currently have floodlights out there who don't work. We have to get them fixed. We should have flashlights available in several parts of the plant in case if the power goes out or for some reason the floodlights aren't working. New equipment for flow paste, for chemical feed systems, spare bearings for our mixing shafts for both clarifiers, spare motors for mixers and rakes at both clarifiers, and repair kits for the chemical metering pumps. These are things that we have not kept on the shelf that we need to have on the shelf. Items to complete: SCADA system improvements, making sure the SCADA is actually polling all of the required sensors that TCEQ requires, because apparently ours have not been doing that. Of course, replace the membrane modules for SKID 200 to bring that up to drinking water standards. That's, as you remembered, was $162,000, plus with the additional gaskets and whatnot, it basically brings the price of them to $180,000. Repair and replace sludge blow-off valves for both clarifiers and repair the automation on those. Install stairs between the clarifiers so people don't have to walk all the way into the building to the one set of staircase for the walkway to the clarifiers. Install stairs or sample taps for the effluent collection boxes. Fix the weir in clarifier 1. Need to improve the metering on the pumps to feed coagulant aid to the clarifiers. Additional software training for the additional software and training for administration of a good maintenance program. We need to add chlorine and ammonia injection points. We need to repair the adjustable flanges on the influent pipe of the center ring of clarifier 2. We need to improve the equipment processes to manage sludge in the sludge basin, which includes repairing / connect the centrifuges for sludge control, because apparently those centrifuges, while built when the plant was construction, they were never hooked up. Repair the neutralization basin, which basically, as we process water, water can become quite toxic, and it appears that the air lines for the neutralization basin were either never attached or were removed at some point in time after the plant was built. Repair caustic feed trains, which will allow staff to put in certain caustic materials to help control water quality in different areas of the plant. And of course, education and training for management and operators, 2 operators minimum per shift. And we will need to, and with this I'm going to request that TCEQ sends some experts down to help us with the operations budget that we will need, and the capital budget that we will need to take over all these things that we are going to be required to have at hand. We also have to send out a notice to the citizens. It's a very lengthy notice, and it is a very technical notice on what went wrong. And it's mandatory language from the EPA that TCEQ is going to make us put out there, and this is something that's going to have to go out. I am planning to do a cover letter on it, explaining to everybody who's going to be receiving this letter that this is referring to the 8 weeks we were on the boil water notice. These are not new findings. These are the findings that required us to be on the boil water notice for 8 weeks. I sometimes these reports go out and people think these are brand new problems, and they're not brand new problems. So that's where we are right now. I also met with the attorney from the 2012 incident at the plant with the alum in the air valves. We are currently in mediation. The trial has been postponed as our attorneys are trying to work with the mediator and work with the other side to settle this issue. I hope that by next week at your special call meeting, we will have a recommendation from your attorneys on a potential settlement. Also had meetings with the Chamber of Commerce from your last meeting, in which you sent their 60-day cure letter as to what they're going to do as far as their economic development. And we'll be having another meeting with them in a couple of weeks to put together a strong proposal to bring back to this council to perhaps continue to utilize the Chamber of Commerce in some form of economic development, and potentially going forward even rediscuss the issue of some hot funds for promotion of tourism for the Chamber of Commerce. I was also invited to the a meeting of the East Marlin Water Corporation. They are still very interested in having you take them over. I am going through looking at the information that Mr. Fletcher had, and that I gather that this had been a topic of some discussion about a year ago, and I'm continuing to look into that. had a meeting with the Marlin Volunteer Fire Department simply to talk about that, well, yes, I said in January that you needed to look at the fire department and whether or not you were getting the best bang for the buck. Everybody immediately said, I said we had to close the fire department. If that is the impression I gave, I apologize. I think you have to look at all the services you're providing here in the city, look at your revenue, and decide what level of services you're going to provide. And, but I do think it is a very good idea. I was sort of surprised when they said I am the first city manager in many, many years to ever even visit the volunteer fire department, because we know that they are a critical mutual aid component to our fire department, and we should have continuing discussions and good relations with them. So and that was a very positive meeting. In talking with TCEQ operators after our meeting with the executive director, Public Works Director Fornish and I met with some members of TCEQ, and I would, and I realize the citizens would like to see something happen immediately. I would not recommend bringing in law enforcement at this time to investigate what's happening at the plant until we can identify A, what was connected and then disconnected, or two, things that simply weren't connected, so that we know what we're investigating, so we know what they have to look for. I do think ultimately you do need to bring in an outside agency, either the probably the Rangers, to look at this. But I'd like to work a little bit closer with TCEQ and identify all of the issues that we need to have them look at, rather than have only part of the information. However, if you tell me you want on a next agenda to bring them in right away, I would be happy to do so. And lastly, and this certainly wasn't my intent tonight, but absent an apology from the dais, I'm going to have to really review whether or not I want to stay and work here. I will not tolerate that type of behavior. I am a professional. To be called a racist is one of the most foul things anybody has ever said to me. But I am not going to make a hasty decision, so I will not submit a resignation right here and now, but I am going to seriously be considering it going forward. That concludes my report.
Questions?
Yes.
Can I ask some questions? Okay, on our water issues,
Yes, ma'am.
we've had many discussions about getting someone to come in and investigate and assess us and with TCEQ and all of that. I'd like to know what actually have been done since the water crisis has been kind of contained. What have we put in place as far as moving forward to get answers?
Well, again, one of the items that I was talking to TCEQ operators on, and Scott will can help me on this. We have found some automated systems that we thought had been disconnected, and yet when we went into the conduit, it still had the pull cords in there that the cables, the wires that should have been pulled through the conduit and hooked up to the automated sensors had never even been pulled. The pull cord is still sitting in the conduit. That's an issue, again, that's an engineering / inspection issue on why wasn't that connected? Why wasn't that done? These are the types of things that we're working with TCEQ operators who came up, sat with Scott and Andrew, well actually didn't sit with Scott and Andrew, worked with Scott and Andrew out there at the plant extensively last week. They were here for 2 days And we're trying to get that full report together. Then at least we can identify, we can say, okay, we know if these cables were never pulled, then nobody cut the cables. They simply were never attached in the first place. That's a engineering/inspection. Why was substantial completion ever signed off on if that wasn't done? That's a different issue than having an operator disconnect something. So that's why I don't want to jump into any criminal or law enforcement investigations until we finish the professional water side investigations to know what happened. Same thing with the centrifuges. Why were the centrifuges put in but have never been operated, have never been connected to be operated? That again, they could sign off, yes, they're there, but nobody was ever trained, or they were never put to work, and that's a good question on why. One of the problems at TCQ, Mr. Dykes essentially told me is that we had a major failing. We had a contractor building a plant. We had inspectors inspecting what they were building. We had engineers who had engineered the plant. But nobody, including apparently members of the city council at the time, ever, after the plant got completed, said, where's the training to operate the plant? It was sort of handed over to the city and the operators there. I know Mr. Maines had left during that process and was now working with KSA. You had Mr. Glenn, I believe, came in. I'm not sure of the time periods there. I wasn't here. But nobody ever was trained to how to use this new plant and some of the, because they would have realized the neutralization basin, the air hoses weren't there, that the centrifuges weren't being worked. But we really had a lack of training. Once that plant went into place, it was like, okay, you have your C license, you know what you're doing, go work, go run the plant. And we never had any real training at that time. I'm beginning to think it's more that some of the damage out there may very well have happened simply because people weren't trained and didn't know how to operate the plant, rather than going to the fact that there was anything intentionally done.
Okay, so is KSA answering those questions? Are they involved in the troubleshooting? And are they giving reports? Who signed off for what? Because I understood in that meeting that this city did not buy a $9 million brand new water plant, that we bought brand new filter system, and it's set on top of our old system, which they do not talk together properly. And with the crisis of with the screens needing to be changed, that kind of facilitated all of our problems. And if KSA, where is KSA? Where are they?
Well, one of the things I had just realized in preparing your documents for going out for request for proposals, your contract with KSA is a job-specific contract, as opposed to simply being contract engineers that staff can call and say, we need you to look at this. Every time we say we need you to look at something, we sign a separate contract with them.
Wow.
So we have not signed a contract with them to come back and analyze, and I'm going to regret saying this, analyze where they dropped the ball in this whole process. And I don't think we necessarily should hire them to come in and analyze where they may have suffered from missteps. Even if we continue to use them as a contract engineer going forward, some other engineering firm should look into what happened during substantial completion of that plant, and why the training didn't happen, and why certain things didn't get connected,
Okay.
and why inspections were signed off on.
I have a very deep question here with you saying that. How do we purchase a water system and not have someone to oversee that whole process? That doesn't make sense to me.
I was gonna address that a little
Okay.
bit. I hope you go back and you made an accusation that we didn't put one there. We had people there with them working while they was doing that. At the same time, I hope you go back and do an investigation to see that we did put those people in place. There was folk there during the time they was building it. Even the director that was over the plant was right there during the time that they put this plant together. So you're making an accusation now. I hope you go back and look at the paperwork and you'll see that we put the proper things in place. And if you do, I hope you come back and apologize, because that's kind of hurtful to me for you to sit there and say what you're assuming. And I know we put the people there and the study into that plant that was needed. It maybe didn't get there, but everything you're saying was put in place with individuals there that should have known how to run that plant when they left, because they helped during the time they was there.
Well, and again, I think, I'm not saying that a council did anything intentionally. I think in some ways, especially with the fact that you connected a new filter system with a old clarifier system, an old pretreatment system, and I don't think it was ever explained to you that that's what you were doing. I think everybody on that dais who worked at that time thought you were getting an entirely new water plant and not just a new filtration system with 21st century technology connecting to 20th century, 1940s, 50s technology with the clarifiers. I certainly don't think anybody sat here and told you that that's what you were buying. But unfortunately, that's what you were sold, and with none of you being professional engineers, you didn't realize it at the time. And so I'm not saying that anybody, but yes, I have built a lot of wastewater plants. I've built 4 in my career. And I have been in engineers meetings, I have been at the plant, I've watched them be constructed. I even know, to a certain extent, the processes they need to go through. I am not a certified wastewater operator. Training was still going to be necessary, and especially given the fact that you're now using 2 different technologies. Now, I have talked to TCEQ. Kenny Dykes, again, he is one of their principal operators, and he says that plant, as it is currently configured, we can make really good water with that plant. It's going to be a little temperamental, the 1940s technology merging with the 21st century technology, but he said there's no reason why we can't produce really good water, and in fact, he has said that based upon his time here in Marlin, he is going to completely rewrite the surface water treatment manual for TCEQ, because our issues brought to light to him inadequacies in their manuals, simply because of, again, we've got good clarifiers, we've got a great filtration system, they're not designed to work together, and it created issues, and it was issues they never anticipated. So probably nobody in 2000, whenever that plant was turned on, they didn't know what they didn't know in some cases, and you didn't know what they didn't know, and so I'm saying that there's a lot of culpability to go around, but I'm beginning to think, after really working with TCEQ and really working with some other people, that it was less intentional acts and more like a whole lot of unintended consequences came crashing down, And we turned a brand-new plant into wreckage in less than 10 years, and that we're now working to make it a really good plant again.
Let me bring you up to speed here a little bit. I got a text from you that said we were operating on a half a system
Yes.
at the present. Why is it sludge is still going up in there, stopping up the filter system? I mean, we got people overlooking it now. Why are we still operating on a half of a plant today?
Because we have to order those next bank of filters, sir.
They're not in?
We only ordered one half. We were only planning to replace one bank of filters. Those were the ones we ordered in October.
But has it been investigated? Why did the others clog? And why did all of, I mean, they could have been brand new. It wouldn't have mattered. They still was going to clog, right?
Right.
So somebody didn't know what they was doing when they went out there and clogged up their old ones. So where's the guarantee that this not going to happen on these next ones that we're buying? That's why I'm concerned about why we're operating on a half and what's going wrong, and somebody's doing something out there to stir up this sludge that is clogging up all of them.
And as I said, sir, one of the mandatory requirements from TCEQ is sludge control, and it's several items on this list are strictly sludge control items. Improvement processes to manage sludge in the sludge basin, the repair/connect the centrifuges for sludge control. These are all things that we need to do, that TCEQ has directed us to do.
I totally understand that. But at the same time, that happened during the Thanksgiving holidays. Were we in that mess with that sludge, or it just came up? Those are questions I want somebody to answer. Why did that happen during that critical time right then? Was someone messing around with that sludge, and have we not learned, and it's still happening again?
No. No, it's not. It's not happening now. We are controlling the sludge. In fact, we had to bring some trucks in last week to pump the sludge out because some of our processes isn't allowing the sludge to be removed the way it's designed to be removed. So we had to actually bring some pumper trucks in and do that. And but the reason we got into the problem is that no, we didn't have good sludge control, and that.
So that happened here lately. That had nothing to do with how that plant was put together. It might have been put together wrong, but are we taking the proper steps with what we have to protect the citizens from this point? I mean, I know it was some mistakes made there to get that sludge up in there and stop. How many filters are there? How many?
54 filters on Skid 100 that we're running on.
And all filters were stopped, right?
Back at Thanksgiving,
Yes.
Okay, something had to cause that. Now, I mean, I know we got sludge down there, but it didn't just jump up there on its own and plug up 54 filters.
If you remember, we were already on the boil water notice at that time. And Scott went out and was trying to get us off the boil water notice for Thanksgiving. And he did turn on a motor that stirred some sludge that plugged the filters. Yes, it was an error.
We're getting around to the real part.
The fact that we had not had proper sludge control and that he did not anticipate the sludge being there was an error. But it was an error that we have now found as a result from years of not having good sludge control. We now do have sludge control, which is why, again, last week when we saw we needed to bring pumper trucks in, we brought the pumper trucks in.
Or have we put anything in place to make sure that doesn't happen again? Because I'm real concerned about, we had 3 storage units that went completely dry. And it take how many days to fill those tanks? I don't have to go out there and walk around that plant to use good common sense. Now, I know I'm not supposed to micromanage, but I know mistakes was made out there, and I hadn't heard. I want to have a hearing on that. We need to have a workshop on that issue, because I know deep down inside of me, mistakes was made out there. I heard all that praising and all that stuff going on. We was not even in the summertime and we'd stopped up every one of those filters. I don't care if you go buy all of them over again. If you make that same mistake, we got that same problem. So somebody better put something in place out there to make sure that doesn't happen again.
This is what we're talking about, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Knight, you remember, and I think maybe Miss Moore, because Miss Moore and I were probably out at that water plant, and Mr. Erskine than anybody during all that time. They had engineers from TCEQ. Did you talk with some of them, Miss Moore?
Yes, I did.
Okay. They were extremely enlightening as to what was taking place and what needed to be done. I would like to have somebody from that engineering firm, TCEQ engineering firm, come back and address the council, and so the citizens can hear also. He was very, very articulate and very transparent in what had happened. Maybe even Executive Director Hyde would like to come. He said he wanted to come, that he would come. But I think it's, you know, speculation is always speculation. So knowing from the experts what took place, and if I understand correctly, it was TCEQ that came out, their engineering firm came out and told them to turn on those clarifiers, right? And that's the day before Thanksgiving. So that's what all of that happened. So, but anyway, I would like to have someone who can explain that and was there when it happened, all the way through the process. And one of those, I can't remember his name now, but anyway, he was very articulate, and he was very good about, very clear about what happened. So I think that would help if we did have someone to come. And I'm not taking away from your explanation, I'm just, that they were there constantly. And one of the things they did say, that they did this all over the state. We were one of a number of people that got into this kind of a problem. That doesn't help our situation any, but it will be good to have some of those engineers come and explain that, and even the executive director, Mr. Hyde, on that. One other thing that I had forgotten, because I remember clearly what we were told on the, and what sold us on buying that plant, and that was the automation, and the fact that it was going to save money in personnel and money in chemicals. I remember that part. But Councilman Erskine, he reminded me, and I had forgotten this, that there was also a citizens committee that worked with the engineers. They were with us every time that we met, and they highly recommended going with that plant as it was. So do you remember anything about that?
They appointed a committee, and I can say they're probably comprised of about 7 people, if I remember right, and I could call some names that I'm not going to, that made the recommendations, that made the study, and the in-depth study of the plant itself, and they presented to the council with recommendations that would go with a membrane system that seems to be the best one to fight the NTUs and the carcinogens that are currently in the water, and that it was highly recommended, and this would occur after the outbreak of carcinogens and all that occurred in Wisconsin, I believe it was, and they recommended that this system would eliminate these problems, and they wanted to see that the city develop a system that would correct this issue, and that they named off the plant at New Braunfels on the Guadalupe River, the plant in Sweetwater, Texas, and the partial plant in Temple, Texas, and they went and reviewed all 3 of these plants, and they wanted to come back and recommend that that would be the best way to go to eliminate the carcinogens and the NTUs in the water itself.
It's very interesting. It's Mr. Gene Chisholm, who is one of the part of the TCEQ Environmentor program, and he operates water plants for a private company here in the state, several different cities. And he said something very interesting to me the other day in my office. He said they didn't necessarily lie to you when they said it would take fewer operators to run the plant, although he's found you could never run a plant on as few of operators as they say. But he said the problem with membrane plants is that you replace operators with maintenance people because it's such delicate technology, it requires more maintenance than an old-fashioned sand filter plant. So, and they just never mention that. They mention that you can get away with fewer operators, but they don't mention how much maintenance it has. And of course, one of the problems, and Scott will tell you this, our one maintenance person at the plant was being used as an operator. Was not being used for maintenance when Scott got here. Scott pulled him off as an operator and said, okay, start maintaining, and put other people on operations because of all the deferred maintenance that was happening because he was having to work as an operator. I know his recommendation is that we add another full-time maintenance person out at that plant, as well as 2 operators per shift. You know as well as I do, personnel is 80% of your costs of running a city. So as we keep adding people, that means at some point in time, we're really going to have to look at that water bill. Because you need to be able to operate, you need to be able to bring in the revenue sufficient to operate that plant to provide clean drinking water. But he expressed frustration on people who want to sell these membrane plants because they are so technically precise that they don't save the money that they claim they're going to save because of maintenance. I don't believe, Madam Mayor, you were in the office. I think you met Mr. Chisholm, but I don't think you were there when he and I were talking about this issue, and because we were talking about staffing and whatnot. But
I was there when he was talking about that he was almost sure because he could find no evidence that anything had been connected. I remember him saying
right.
That, so.
I have one more concern. I'm still not hearing the support from KSA helping us. And I heard you say just now that from what you understood, that we don't have the kind of contract that they're supposed to be here overseeing, that they just do projects. Several months ago, I had asked for a list of projects that KSA have done, completed, in progress of, because we've just recently okayed for them to do some more work on that revitalizing sidewalk grant. That's more money that I don't think that we have to pay out, but we already passed that. But can we get a full report from KSA of all the projects that they have been involved in with line items showing us what they did, what it cost, and what's the balance of the grant money? And one more thing I want to say is, although I appreciate Scott's effort on his report, to me it's not a good report. I have more questions looking at this than I did at first. I'd like for this report to be more in-depth, more outlined. To me, this is a conversation. I'd like to say a genuine professional report on our public work.
Mr. Porter?
Yes, ma'am. I know that we're going to try to recoup some of this expense with the USDA grant, and I think our senator and congressman are supposed to be assisting us. Can you tell us, number one, where we are on that? Number two, are we going to be able to include not only the cost for the filters, the 54 filters for the other skid, but are we going to be able to include the cost of all these pumps and filters that TCEQ wants on hand?
Yes, we were almost in position to submit that grant last week when the issues of the neutralization basin and the centrifuges came in. So I did ask for a revised budget on that. I don't remember if I reported to this council or not. I may have sent it out in a electronically. The Central Texas RC&D. Well, essentially they're an organization that when cities pay fine to TCEQ, they send the money to different agencies. Well, they have issued us a $100,000 grant specifically to pay for the filters.
Okay.
So that is going to cover almost half the cost of the filters. I simply need to finish working with Judy probably tomorrow and we'll get that USDA grant submitted with the new budget based, adding the neutralization basin into it. And that will be hopefully $500,000. And hopefully, if the mediator is successful, we will be getting some more money in from that mediation that would that the council could, if they chose, earmark that money toward to the water plant, because of course it was originally it's a lawsuit concerning the water plant. So putting that money back into maintenance of the plant would make sense.
And I know we're still getting bills in now. Do you have a projected time that we're going to have the total cost of all this that has transpired? And I know
the final number will be, of course, when we finally get everything fixed, because we're going to have still recurring bills. We should know, basically, based on the budgets that we're doing, based upon the grant and everything else, I mean, this is going to end up costing the city probably $750,000.
Okay. Okay.
And like I said, hopefully if we can get at least $600,000 of that in total grant, that will certainly help.
Okay. Thanks, sir.
Is the water rehab money itself is still there, or it's already gone?
We spent, the new filters and the gaskets for them did come out of the water rehab fund. That's what that was earmarked for. So
The water rehab money was earmarked for those filters? I thought we had something else on the side for that.
No.
No. Council passed that. Yeah.
The other thing, was Birdwell at the TC crew meeting? Was Senator Birdwell at our TC?
A representative from his office and from Senator Cassell, from Representative Cassell's office both were at that meeting.
I kind of question that because I was wondering how would they get there and we couldn't have a meeting with the whole group.
One, at that time, the TCEQ did not want it to be an open public meeting, which means we had to limit the number of elected officials to 3 people so there wouldn't be a quorum. Now, he is willing to come back and speak to the council, but he will probably speak in far more political terms, polite terms, than he did at a meeting in which
I don't want him to sweeten it up for me. I think he needed everything he said behind them doors. I wanted to hear it right here. I have nothing to hide. And I was really appalled that I heard about the meeting after the weekend. And as you text me and I told you I'll wait and be updated with the rest of the council. I know the rest of the council had already been in a meeting with that.
Not me.
And I would rather they have a meeting, a call meeting.
The rest of the council, sir.
Beg pardon?
It was not the rest of the council.
Well, who was?
The mayor determined to invite Councilmember Moore and a Councilmember Porter, because both had spent a lot of time at the plant during this crisis. We're interested. 3 members is not a quorum, so it's not open to the public. So TCQ could be as blunt and direct with staff and with the elected officials here. Senator Birdwell's office heard what was said. Senator Cassell's office heard what was said. And you have to understand, when we have meetings that we don't want open to the public, only 3 elected officials can be there.
I understand that, sir, but the charter itself says, I have to go into your charter that you're talking about redoing, but the charter is saying that that's wrong. You can't call that meeting. You have to be directed to do that by the council for that to be done. That's in your own, own charter.
It's my meeting, sir. If it's staff, I can have any meeting I want.
Anybody.
Okay. If it's your meeting.
Yes. Not this. This is your meeting. Special called meetings are your meetings. If I have a meeting
But I thought you
with
said
somebody,
the mayor called the meeting, not you.
No.
Now you're flipping on me here. Now if you leave it with the mayor, I'm right on target. But if you change it to you, then I'm wrong.
TC.
But let's move on.
TC. No, sir. You're not going to.
Don't do that to me, man.
You're not going to do that.
Whatever you do, don't do that to me.
You're not going to do allegations like that to me.
I'll carry your ass.
I've had
Don't do
enough.
that. Don't do that.
Stop.
do that.
Both of you, stop.
Don't do that now.
Stop.
You stop now. Don't do that to me.
Do not make allegations toward me and then say, oh no, I don't want to speak about it.
We need
Hey, don't do that.
Stop. Stop.
Don't do that.
Nobody gets
Don't you do that.
Mister,
We need respect.
When
We're
nobody
grown
gets it.
adults. We're not here to fight. We're trying to help the city. We
But
need
nobody
respect.
here gets any
We
respect.
need respect.
Return.
okay,
Don't do
That's
that.
not the way to conduct meetings. We're not gonna
It's a
fight.
no down.
You don't do that.
okay.
We
Hey
should
man, you get
respect
your
one
ass
another.
to you get your ass to doing that.
Mr. Henderson, don't talk that way.
We have a motion to adjourn.
That's okay.
All in favor say aye.
You telling me?
Aye.
Good job.
I'm cool as I can be. You better talk to him.
Don't you make allegations and, oh, but no, we're not going to talk about it. Not when you're looking at me.
Hey, meet me in the parking lot. I can end that.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Go right ahead now.
Hey, look here. Playing the wrong guy.
I'm not 12 years old, but you go right ahead and go to the parking lot.
Whenever you ready.
You go right ahead.
Scotty, you don't have to worry about
I'm not 12 years old.
You got a problem, my friend.
it. See, he done that shit with the same thing with me. It is discriminating. People come up here and talk to him, and he talk to them like they're dogs. He talked to them like the dogs in the city ain't coming back no more.
Yeah, I got a problem.
White and black. Went there to talk to them like
I just wanted to let you know I'm going to start sending out resumes. I'm sorry.
talk to them people, black, white, talk to them like they dogs.
So that's not right. We have to have respect.
That's right, and he needs to respect people. You come up here, black and white, come up here and talk to him, and they say they ain't coming back no
With
more.
this hollering and yelling, we can't understand
Now,
anything.
he gets up and holler at people. And he gonna come up here where I am, he'd have been on that road. I'll tell you that. Talk to me like I'm a human. And then we treat people like that. He do everybody like that. He come up here and talk like that. He talk to them like he got messed up. White and black.
That's what I said. This is why nobody gets it here because y'all can't even talk to each other. All it is black and white, and I'm sick of it, and we need to grow up and get it together.
I'm with you.
It's not black and white. It should be all the
They
community.
don't want people to know what's going on.
Huh.
And where the
And
money
then the
is.
way we're acting. Terrible. No respect. Send us forward.
Y'all see what was in the Houston Chronicle about the Marlin? Sure. And he's sitting up there. But he does everybody who come in that office to talk to him. He acts a fool with them. And black and white and some people that's been coming here to the council. So they're not even coming to the council and they're not going in there and talking, but they're going to move away from him. He's a fool. I'm going to tell you. I went in there and asked him, get the people, let me get the boys and things. Raising down there. I'm not doing personal things to people. That's what he said to me.
Yeah, it's a little tougher.
But he don't fool me like that and coming up there, well, that was would have had a bite. I ain't lying.
It's always cut
I was thinking those grants ought to be, the city ought to know about those. But I've got a list. I've called around. There's about $1 million the last 10 years of community development block grant that the city of Marlin's received. And on the KSA website, they have a listing of 3 projects they've done for Marlin. The water plant, a pipeline from the water plant underneath the highway, and the water meters.
I'm gonna go on the website. I'm just appalled. No report, no feedback, no follow-up. I'm just appalled. I don't know how they're gonna.
Thank you, Norman.
You know, and I have to say we, because I'm on the council now, but I have a lot of questions there too.
Okay.
Now he's talking about resigning. That's terrible. I was against him in the beginning because he was not here with the meeting, but now it's yeah. Yeah.
Well,
You don't look like you feel good. I was worried about you up there.
don't worry about those again.
No, you just look like you felt really bad. He's not.
Yeah, well,
Yeah. Well, we just was, told him, he's not looking too well up there, is he okay?
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
popped up there.
Okay, well, I was worried that he was sick.
I don't want to lose this fellow.
No.
He's the first guy we've had in a long time that's intelligent enough to fix all this stuff.
Well, he's talking about some struggling look.
We gotta stop that stuff. We
Yeah.
gotta stop it.
You don't have a
It's
business.
it's there's way too
We just gotta get together, because if we don't all get together and work together, this town's not gonna make it. And you can call it black, white, whatever you wanna call it, if we don't work together,
It's working.
we're not gonna survive.
In this state.
I'm gonna do some fasting and praying for the rest of this month.
Well, we've got to get some more city people involved though, to try to get this right, and we've been trying.
He's been on it, you know, so just please, just keep it up.
Yeah.
You have a lot of citizens who want to be involved now.
Yes.
You know, who see, and you know, I'll do it, I mean, a lot of us will do. There wasn't a very good turnout, but there are people out there who will help.
Yes.
You know, it's unfortunate. So, the voice of reason, yeah.
But, I'm gonna, if anybody else wanna join me, this is fasting praying for the city, our issues are too deep for us. They're not here, they're here.
I swear to God, in all my years, I've never heard such an outcry of just, goodness. It's all, you know, once people don't realize once words are spoken, you can't take them back.
So trying to meet him outside, now what kind of number is that? How old is he?
Not good. That was not.
How old is he, 12? I'll meet you outside. Well, anybody hear it?
Yeah, I think some years ago. Oh, the couple,
Okay, as long as somebody heard it,
the couple.
yeah, you need to take her to court over